I think this is it. I think this is it. Actually, I'll keep it open so in case we can entice anybody else in. Some stragglers. Okay, well, I love stragglers. Let's make a start. Can I please ask everybody to come nice and close? So, I mean, I probably don't need to even have a microphone, but, you know, it's my chance to shine, so I'm going to use every toy that I've got at my disposal. First of all, thank you so much for coming along. And I also just want to explain why Katie isn't here. So Katie Osborne is our PR consultant. Very, very brilliant woman. Very, very excited about coming along. And we discussed what she was going to be talking about. The best friend of her son got stabbed. And it was an absolute shock. Her son was devastated. And you know, mum can't leave her boy. So really, really sorry about that. But you've got me now. So we've got an hour, and I'm going to put you all to lots and lots and lots of very hard work, because between us, we've got the brains to rule the world, I think. And I really want us to work really hard, even though we're a little bit hungover after last night's festivities. But yeah, I really do appreciate all of you being here, and yeah, thank you. Because you could be listening to Hamid, but you're here to help us, and I really appreciate that. So I just want to start off by letting everybody know who I am. So I'm exactly like you guys. I'm an acupuncture practitioner. I'm a member of the BXC, and that's why I'm here. I'm not just parachuted in to do the conference. Even though I know I run a brilliant conference. But I do it because I love acupuncture and I want to spread that love. I absolutely want to share the love with as many people as possible. And putting on, frankly, a lovely do with some good booze and some good grub and a nice band, that is just another extension of what we do in our clinics. We're sharing the love with each other. And within our clinics, we share the love to our patients. They get better, their energies improve. My feeling about PR is that this is what we need to be doing. It's all about just an extension of what we do. You know, just like we're just a map of acupuncture points. You know, this point on the end of my baby toe, extremity of yin, that's connected to the one at the very top of my head. And that's what I want us to do with our PR work, to keep it connected and to keep it very focused to the heart of what we do, which is getting patients better, and to do it with kindness. When I started to do the PR work, it was after PR had been rudely chopped out of the BXC's agenda, and that was a rotten idea, because it meant that everything started to plummet into free fall. We had social media just going flat. I mean, Gavin, our IT manager, he did a brilliant job of just trying to do things, but he was repurposing things and working very hard and doing bits of tweeting. But if you don't have a core, if you don't have money to make things happen, nothing is going to happen. And so we did see a huge decline in our social media engagements. But then I came forward and I saved the day. I wish it were that simple. It wasn't just me. We had a lot of conversation. I met with Katie Osborne, who I'd known because she'd worked at the BXC, and she had been poached from us. She'd been pinched to be editor of a magazine or newspaper. She comes from a health journalism background, and she rudely decided that rather than helping me in the BXC office, she'd rather edit her own magazine. I know. So who can believe it? So the really great thing is that she decided that she actually wanted to become freelance, and we had a few meetings, and we agreed that she and I would work together on dreaming up what we'd do for our PR campaign. The first really important thing that we decided was that, and don't worry, I'm not just going to be talking all morning. The first important thing that we decided was that we wanted to get away from the very glossy, oh, acupuncture, it makes me feel so great and free. We wanted to get away from that sort of very glossy You magazine feel to it, because it felt a little bit with some of our other PR people, our PR spokespeople like Donna Eyre, for example, it was all a little bit glossy, and it didn't feel like it had enough. It wasn't wearing knickers, basically. It was fair coat and no knickers. That was my feeling about it, and I basically wanted to put the knickers back on, which is where Mark comes into it. Mark Bovey. Yes. So Mark provides the knickers in the form of the research. So we decided that going forward, all of our PR campaigns would be backed by thorough, robust evidence. And that was the real message that we wanted to get across to the public. So that whenever a doctor would say, oh, there's no evidence for this. Oh, actually, dear, there is.
Mark will give them his knickers.
Yes, here are the knickers. Mark said. So Mark has been doing an awful lot of work with us on PR. We within a very short amount of time, again, it was all my work, our social media engagements went up by 1,000%. So that is great. And that was Mark, that was me, that was Katie, that was Gavin, as well as other members who actually got involved and got up and raised up. And that's really, really important, because we're a membership organisation and we need to have people feeding us. Harriet, you had a question.
I wouldn't make a comment, because when you're talking about this kind of glossy acupuncture, celebrity, new magazine type of thing, there's a sense in which acupuncture is a complementary therapy that you get, along with a massage in a spa, as a sort of, a luxury,
Yes.
pampering type of a...
Yes.
I get so upset about that.
Yeah.
And I think what you're talking about is we're selling medicine.
We're selling medicine.
It's a system of medicine. And, we return people to health with very profound problems.
That's exactly it.
And we are not beauty therapists.
We are not beauty therapists. We have studied so hard. And again, with all of our messaging that we put out, we remind everybody that BAXI members are members of the Professional Standards Authority. This puts us a league above other practitioners. We're the Carlsberg of acupuncturists. We're up there. We're the very, very best. I want to just talk about some of the other things that we've done. Hi and welcome. Some of the other things that we've done. We put in a lot of work into case studies, and case studies I would absolutely recommend and invite you to get involved. It's really easy to do. All you do is drop us a line. Drop us a line, tell us about your interesting patients, and you could get in a local or national newspaper like Rachel did.
Great.
Sunday Mirror. Really good. Yeah, and what was really great about it is that we managed to get all of my contact details in there. So I'm a BAXI member, I work in this town, this is my name, and I thought I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was just going to be about the patients and how he responded, and it was great.
So please do. And it's not an arduous process at all. You just need to get a consent form from your a patient, get a nice photo. We all have miracles. Welcome. We all have miracles happening in our clinics and our student clinics every day. And I think that our student clinics are a wonderful, wonderful place. So often, when we're students, we're so scared about, oh my God, my patients won't get better because I don't know what I'm doing. But what we do is so profound and so wonderful. And the energy when you're students is going to mean that your patients are going to get so, so well. We need to hear those wonderful stories. We need to celebrate those wonderful stories. I just want to go through some of the other things that we have done, because hopefully this is going to give you a flavour of the sorts of things that I'm interested in doing, because I'm a great believer in do things that you love, and if it doesn't make you feel all that great, well, maybe it isn't the right thing for you. There are probably loads of things that I'm not doing, and I've not thought about. So come to me, let me know. it could well be that I'm not the right person to take those things forward, but I'll always listen. I like...
Can I just ask, just going back to case studies, so are we always asking people for any sort of case study at any time? Or sometimes, I guess, there might be a focus on a particular...
Sometimes if there is a specific week, like Migraine Awareness Week, then obviously we'll put a call out to members. Please come forward with your stories about migraine, and then Katie will try to put those stories out and feed them into the press. At other times, if you do have a wonderful tale, just let us know, and we'll keep these stories on file for when the appropriate time comes up. So it might not be automatic, but keep them on file.
Right. So just in case you missed it yesterday, just saying that my patient didn't get a response when she sent in her photo and form.
Okay, thank you.
You know, she's lovely.
Yes.
She's like, oh, they didn't get back to me, so
Okay.
I appreciate she doesn't
I
work
want
all the
to...
time, but, you know,
I also...
in a few weeks.
Okay.
The other thing, are we doing anything for World Mental Health Day?
Potentially.
Quite soon, isn't it? 10th of October.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I want to raise something else that I think is really, really important. This is the first year since PR was chopped away that we've actually had a budget. This is the first year. And it isn't a huge budget. It's teeny tiny budget. It could well be that the governing board who set the budget for next year, it could well be that they decide let's pour in more resources, but we're working with a tiny amount. The things that we did with the tiny amount of money last year included the Shard event, which was great. We had around 25 journalists attending, which was very, very good. And that event still has people writing about us, and journalists are still coming to us on the back of that event. So that was very, very positive. We also had 2 MPs attending it. We've got featured a lot in the national and local press. As I said, social media went up 1,000%. We also, and this is also where I find things are very interesting, because we're working not just on the you know, we're getting into the various mental health, etc. days, of which there's a day every week of the year. We also set up, we've also been working together with other associations. So, for example, I was part of the organising committee for World Acupuncture Day, which was a huge event in Paris. I sadly didn't get to go to the huge event, but I was part of the committee. Cheers. So that was great, because it was a huge pouring in of ideas about how we can promote and how we can make acupuncture actually sing and become alive. We did 2 fertility shows, one in London, one in Manchester, and that again is an opportunity for every single member around those areas, obviously, to every single member to get involved and to oh, thank you. Every single member can get involved and can really basically build their practice, because it's an opportunity to have an immense position where you're handing out your business cards and you're sharing your passion, you're spreading your love for what you do on a one-to-one basis. And all the people who went along to that had a thoroughly wonderful time. So again, we did all of this in teeny tiny budget, you know, a lot. We've achieved a lot. Yes?
Before I forget, I would love to ask Rachel how you got into the magazine or the newspaper.
Oh, I don't try and remember. I think I was just having really nice feedback from this particular patient. I said to him, would you be prepared to do a case study? And he said, yes. So I just got the form. He sort of filled it in, took it away, and I think I'd emailed Katie. Katie had emailed him back and asked for a photo. So they kind of spoke together.
So you liaised with Katie in order to get that piece in the newspaper?
Yes, because there's a template form.
Okay.
I picked them up last year, they were here, but you can download them online.
Okay.
So they write them. The only thing about that form is it asks what treatment they've had, and often they don't know. They don't know. So they obviously have to say, oh, pull that part in for you. Yeah, so I've sent a few off actually. Similarly, it's they do feel like they may have gone into a void a little bit, and because you're out of the loop with Katie speaking directly to patients, you feel a little bit out of the loop, but I trusted them, let it be. So okay, yeah. So then he got back to me and said it's been placed in the Sunday Mirror, and this is the date it's coming out. Okay, we know when to get it.
Can I politely ask, just because I want all of you guys to be working, and I've been waffling on for such a long time, that can we please keep the questions until the end, because I've got so much work that I want you to do. Really, really want, but I want the questions. Keep them to the end, please. So in terms of,
it was a little tiny thing on the back of what Ashley was asking, that getting into newspapers. We did a day with Caroline at BXC organised a few years ago, and they were basically saying, which is true, that especially local papers have got so little budget for reporting themselves, that if you put something together that they can pretty much put straight in, then you'll get a result from it. So actually getting in touch with the papers themselves with something they can put it straight away. Sorry, Kevin, that was just a
lovely,
good
thank you.
of that.
So actually on the back of that, we've got a lot of resources that we have set up. We've got a newsroom page on the website. Copy that stuff, put it onto your own blogs. We've already done the work for you. Take it, it's available. We need it to be shared. Tweeting, it really does upset me. I take all these things very, very personally because I care. It really does upset me when we have brilliant stories coming out and there'll be 3 people who've retweeted it. This is not sharing the love. This is not encouraging the world to see what we're doing. So please, let's use wonderful technology and get sharing this stuff, because it's been produced, it's been checked for legalities. It's a very long and quite tedious process. Everything that we put out needs to be read, checked legally, checked for research accuracy. It's been done for you. Please, please, please use it. These are marvellous resources for you. Which brings me on to the thing that I really, really am very proud about. And this is why you're all here, because you're going to be feeding in to the big, wonderful work that we're doing this year. So we've got 3 main things that I'd like to focus on today. We decided at the beginning of the year that we wanted to really demonstrate the seriousness of acupuncture, to really show the research base for it. And we're writing a report. But this is not just any report. This is a Marks and Spencer sort of report, you know, the really delicious one. It's an international collaboration. We've worked with colleagues from around the world, from the US, Australia, Europe, Israel. It's a massive, massive project. And we're looking at the cost effectiveness of acupuncture, how acupuncture has been integrated into these countries, into these very diverse countries, but countries that are very similar to the UK. It's a sort of what if we could actually do something like this? We could have acupuncture embedded within our healthcare systems in whatever way. What if we did it like that? And I'm very pleased that we've got Rachel Hickey here today, who is writing this beast of a document. It's a huge, huge, huge process, but it is going to nourish every single one of us as members. It's also going to nourish every single country around the world. Now remember, acupuncture, our medicine, is under threat at the moment. In Spain, they tried to ban all complementary medicines. We've got search engines basically giving so much biased stuff against acupuncture. This one report is a one-stop tome. That's going to be, that was me dropping the tome, basically saying, there's no evidence base, mate, look at that. Yeah, so this is something that every PR department around the world, of every acupuncture association, is going to look at this. When I spoke about it at the very grandly named Tricontinental meeting in Rothenburg, which is the big TCM Congress out there, I had the heads of the various international organizations running to me in order to pressed their cards into my hands. I spoke to the man, I actually had a cup of tea with him at the top of John Lewis Cafe on Oxford Street. Alan Besnubis, I think I pronounced his name correctly. He's the guy who got acupuncture regulated in Australia. So quite a good guy to know, and he's been feeding into this process. So, like I said, serious work. It's a serious medicine. I don't want it to be trivialized. You know, this is my feeling. The work we do is important. But, you know, I like a party, and not everybody is going to ever sit and read through a thick, heavy tome. So we produced a one-page, simple and very pretty fact sheet that is being given out at the party conferences this year. Just saying, did you know acupuncture is really, really cost effective? So can you think of anything better than actually getting that handed out to all of the different political people? It's about planting tiny seeds and allowing that wood energy to push its way through, But I also know that people like me are so bone idle, so we don't want to be reading reports all day long, which is why we're making a film, which is where Mr. Matthew Kaltenborn comes in. Matthew is a terrific filmmaker. Our paths crossed actually at the Shard, and we had a look at his brilliant work. He's done everything from documentaries to videos with rapping cowboys. It was all very cool. And we've been going around the UK. We put a call out to all members. We've been going around to the UK. Yeah, we put several calls out to all members, including in
Did you
ACU.
read them all?
Yeah. So, and some members came forward to say, I'd like to be featured in that magazine. I'd like to be featured in that film. And we've now featured some people who are doing particularly exciting work, and particularly film-worthy work. So, for example, we went along to Oxford and we filmed Rebecca Avon giving treatments to babies. What better image could you have about how safe it is than a mother holding her baby and the baby just sort of wriggling around a little bit after being needled? Really lovely image. We've met up with consultants at Beverly de Valois clinic in Middlesex, oncology consultants, not acupuncturists, who are saying, with very, very crazily, staid clothing, because they are consultants, this work, I don't understand it, but it works. And the research behind it is amazing. We need to put more funding into this stuff. So we're getting lots and lots of advocates, very big voices. We're going to be, next week, we're going to be going up to York to interview Hugh McPherson. He's going to be talking about the evidence base. We're also going to be talking to Karen Charlesworth, who is doing a very exciting and brand new collaboration with a cardiologist who we're going to be getting on film. So it's not just us acupuncturists saying acupuncture is great. What else am I going to say? It's the cardiologists who are saying acupuncture is great. It's the patients in multi-bed clinics who are saying acupuncture is great. It's all of those voices. And that is going to form a really wonderful... So it's a film. It'll be 30 minutes long, maybe because it's quite challenging trimming down all the editing. We've got about 120 hours of film already. It's still not finished. So it could be a 5-hour-long film. But we're going to edit it down to 30 minutes. But then, as we know, as happened with the US film, 1,000 Needles, people didn't all watch it because it was so long. It was a beautiful film about children with cancer being helped. We're going to edit it down into very short 2-minute snippets which will go out on social media. And again, we want to share the love, so we want that to be shared and tweeted and retweeted, and that's all of our responsibility in this room. Not just me, not just Katie, it's all of our collective responsibility. Now, speaking of collective responsibility, and I'm glad that I'm staying on time, we have got in the room some really exciting people. But I'd like to share a little story about why I think holidays are wonderful. Holidays are wonderful because I like to lie in the sun. I like to roll like a salamander and toast myself all over. And earlier on this year, Mark and I have been discussing, because we are very geeky people, Mark and I, even though we...
I don't lie in the sun and roll like the sun.
But we are, but we are geeky people. You know, despite this non-geeky, lush face, there lies dormant a bespectacled, there lies a very geeky geek. So I was lying at Mark and I have discussed for years now the idea about having a research app. And I was trying to toast myself in the winter sunshine of Lanzarote. And it was very cold, so there wasn't that much in the way of sun. And I just started to write freehand. And I wrote freehand, app. What would I like to get out of an app? And out of this, some ideas came. Basically, the idea that we do brilliant work in our clinics, MyMop, which is a tool that we all know, and when I was a student, I loathed, but we all know, and it was actually developed by one of our own. It was developed by Charlotte Patterson, who is a BXC member, an acupuncture practitioner. What if we, instead of having MyMop on those dreaded forms, what if we had it on an app? What if we made it really simple? And then I got back from my lovely winter sunshine holiday, discussed a little bit more with Mark. We put out a little call for people to get involved, and some people came forwards and they got involved, and we fleshed out a bit more of an idea about this app. This app is going to change the world. Then, it's so wonderful, we met up with Nick, or rather we had some communication with Nick, who is a PhD student, who had exactly the same idea. So great minds have been working on doing this wonderful idea. I went along to the House of Commons. There's an all-party parliament group. I spoke about this app there. They all loved it. This app has got the potential to transform the research evidence base for acupuncture, which is going to be amazing PR. Because just imagine the amount of treatments that we conduct in our clinics, particularly in student clinics, every week. Imagine if we recorded that down. Imagine if it was really, really easy to demonstrate the improvement of one patient, or just the treatment progress of one patient over 6 weeks. Some aren't going to improve, but some will improve brilliantly. Imagine if then we can collate that across all of your treatments. That would be really wonderful. Just imagine if all 2,700 of our members, we could collate that evidence base in a completely GDPR, completely ethical way. Imagine how wonderful that will be. So we've got lots of exciting things. We've got half an hour. What I'd like to do is to split you into, I know we're a teeny tiny group, can we split into 3 little groups? And then I want to have bursts with each Matthew, Mark and Rachel, and Amy and Nick. I'd like to have a couple of people with each group, just so that we can thrash out some more ideas, and we can get ideas and excitement from you about how we can share the love even better. So we'll do that. Don't worry about which one you see first of all, because we're going to do this in very short bursts of 10 minutes. So 10 intense minute bursts, then we'll move around. Okay, go. MyMop up. Report, international report, and film. I'm here. Film?
Yes, I come from the
Lovely.
industry. Let's go.
Oh, fantastico.
Phil, I'll do Phil.
Great.
So is that really what happened to the 1,000 Leagues?
Enough people didn't watch it. It should have been watched by...
Yeah, it was quite long, wasn't it?
It was very long.
When I was children know, there was 2.
But enough people didn't watch it. And I spoke to the guy who did it,
Yeah.
and he was just appalled. He was appalled that we didn't support it. We didn't do it. It was long. It was long. It was very moving. But we're here to talk about this film that this talented guy is writing.
Absolutely. Well, this is great. I've heard vague things about the film. But it's lovely to hear that we've got a really skilled professional to come and do it, because actually editing it's all about the editing.
It is. I think
Anybody want some water?
it's also it's also eye-opening, because obviously I'm not from that country background, and I think that part of the point of the film is to entice people and educate people who know nothing about it. And so from that point of view, I know from my own experience what I've been finding interesting and what's been convincing me, or what's been which points people are raising that need to be put in.
Yeah. So you've got the perspective of,
Yes.
of the audience, haven't you, really?
Yes,
Rather than,
yes.
Yeah,
It's very good.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure in terms of like what sort of benefits or what sort of things are you looking for in terms of like video content? What would help promote what you do?
I think people's personal stories and much what you're talking about, and specialisms, and people talking about it within not a scope of really acupuncturists, but some, but other people of other fields of medicine. It's quite a very good idea, like you described.
Yeah.
Some of the personal stories are so lovely. There was one lady, and I almost cried because it was so wonderful. She this is when we went down to Norfolk, and it was in a multi-bed setting. This lady initially was quite frosty towards me, and it was a little bit difficult, but she opened up, and she just said her kidneys were failing, and she needed to have a transplant, and then she had acupuncture in a multi-bed setting, and all of her levels are completely normal.
Yeah, wow.
Like, even just saying it makes my hands go, because it's such a wonderful story, and that was the only thing that changed.
Yeah.
So hearing that voice and that person, you don't need to see 100 pages of statistics.
No.
It helped me.
Yes,
No,
yeah.
you don't.
And I think the authoritative voices, the doctors and the consultants and so on. I'm really pleased you're coming up to York. I live in York, and I've been doing a bit of help with Karen on this.
It's going to be
really
so exciting. It's going to be so exciting. And we've got a brilliant cardiologist who's also going to be filmed, Sanjay Gupta, who's a completely lovely, very...
And he's all over social media. He's got loads of videos on YouTube.
He's got over 50,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. So he's it's very good. So even if he posts a few clips of our film on his, that's already a great audience.
Oh, I'm sure he will. He's a good
How do you
communicator.
go about protecting the kind of traditional side of things? Because by promoting acupuncture, we are promoting the general public. There are the 12-week Groupon courses and things
Yeah, of
like
course.
that people, so there does need to be something in there that
We're
kind of protects
making
that.
it really, really clear that it's acupuncture as practiced by BACC members. That's something that goes through all of our press releases. It's at the bottom of everything that goes out. It's as practiced by us. It's a little bit like saying, you can get a haircut at Vidal Sassoon, or you could get a haircut. Well, your mum could do it at home with a pudding basin. It's still a haircut, but it is about educating about the BACC. Just that's all we can do, and if other people benefit from it, I don't know what else we can do.
There isn't, and that's
Yes.
one of them, isn't it, at this stage?
all of the practitioners, everyone who's doing the acupuncture in the film and talking, they're all BACC members.
Yeah.
And I think other than doing that and then reiterating throughout that it's BACC, and making
that's the
sure that
point,
you
really.
go to someone who's BACC,
Yeah.
that's all we can really do with it, I think.
And having the logo and making sure that all the, there's visual messages come across as well as the But
I want us to have at the corner, you know how Oprah Winfrey has her Oprah
yes,
Winfrey Network, and
yeah.
I want that in the corner, just so that it's very, very super clear. It's about BAC,
Yes,
not anybody else.
On every shot.
On every shot.
I think there's a very interesting angle as well, because we talk about promoting acupuncture, and of course lots of people are practicing acupuncture. But actually, everybody knows what acupuncture is now. They may not know how effective it is or the details, but they know the word. In my clinic, we no longer have open days where we explain what acupuncture is to people. Everybody knows. We've moved on. And the British Acupuncture Council, I think, should start thinking about promoting acupuncturists and not acupuncture. There's lots of information about acupuncture to get out. But Charlie Buck did a really interesting experiment with several of the, the websites where, like Shutterstock, where you can download photographs, and he put in therapists. And lots of people.
2 more minutes, everyone. 2 more minutes.
Coats and sporting things. And then he put in doctors, and it was all the sort of, the good-looking professionals with the stethoscope and the white coat and everything. And then he put in acupuncturists.
And
pictures of needles sticking in people's shoulders.
Just generally in PR and the stuff that I'm doing, even on all Canva, and you're looking at all those, there's a lot of good stock stills, which are, it's quite important, but a lot of that's coming out of the US now. I did a program with Michelle Grayson about marketing recently, and she did some beautiful shots, but you are correct, but there has to be some sort of other representation of the people, I think, doing the acupuncture.
Exactly.
And you don't see a lot of that stock photo.
No. This is what an acupuncturist looks like. It looks like me, Kevin. Looks like you.
Yes.
This is what we look like.
Yes.
Instead of it all being about
We urgently need to update the photos on our site, which are so ugly. I looked at them and I thought, this is 1980s style.
There's some great ones coming out of the US. But you just have to have some creative person to do some stock stills. I even do that in my own thing.
Yes.
And set up my own little photo booth now and everything for my
It's something in the process. It is in the pipeline, because what we have now, it ain't nice. Okay. Everybody, I know we're having a great chat. We need to move around. Move to another group, please. Isn't this nice? Isn't this nice?
Yes, thank you. You're quite right. It's not all top-down delivery.
Good. That's nice. We need to move, I'm afraid. Time's up. Move to another area.
We haven't had a chance to say anything yet.
Well, you need to get in quick in the next one. Nobody's in this group at the moment. Oh.
Kevin, we thought we missed the trick. We need to get your face.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we'll try and do that.
That's nice. I want to see the whole pitch. I want to see the whole pitch. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Have we got any? Have we got
I think, I'm not sure what. Next time you'll have a very big group.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So,
it's literally just going to be your group, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm Amy.
Well,
I don't know if
I mean, they're not sort of almost in a group, and if they're doing these surveys, why don't we just bring them involved? Rather than repeat what we said to Kevin, what Kevin knows anyway. Should we do that?
Hi, Pia. Come with us. Yes, join us.
Just had a wonderful PR by Charlie Buck, actually. But anyway, what are you doing?
Well, maybe.
Do you want us to do our pitch?
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe. Okay, Pia, we'll try and outdo that one, and try and do it even better.
It's not quite working.
Why? But just join it. But they have moved. You've just not joined a group yet.
Have they moved?
Yes, Harriet's moved. This is entirely different. But just join a group. Is
Go on,
it
Amy.
that difficult?
Go on, Amy.
Okay, so I'm Amy, and this is Nick, both PhD students. We're acupuncturists, and we're researchers. We do everything. Here's a bit of background. So, in the UK, there's approximately over 4 million acupuncture treatments done every single year. Essentially, you have your patient and you say whether or not they get better or how well they're doing, and then you put it away in the filing cabinet, and then you don't actually use that data. So essentially the data, the information that's provided to us by the patients goes completely unreported, but it's extremely useful data. The BACC, Kevin, has come up with a solution to this, so that we can essentially take this anecdotal information and maybe turn it into numbers and potentially very large sample sizes for analysis. So the solution is to create an app, and it's going to be freely available for BACC members. And the app is essentially going to have a clinical tool where you can record the treatment, so the patient can respond to a questionnaire to say how well or not they're responding, the acupuncture is responding to a certain symptom. And essentially this will then feed into a large data set which you can do statistical analysis on. And so it will just basically get a very, very, very large data set, and therefore an awful lot of power, which makes the data very much more generalizable to a population. By doing it on an app, you can obviously automatically feed into a statistics program, and it can be very, very cheap. So not only that, you can use it on a much smaller level just to understand more about your clinical practice. So the app can, what can happen as well is if you're able to download it on an app, you can assess and you can measure, you can do statistical analysis, something very timely, because the data is automatically uploaded, and so instead of analysing data that occurred
That was a
4
good
years
click,
ago,
Amy. That was a good click.
I can't do it again, guys. I ruined my hand. You can analyse the data not from 5 years ago, it's already on the system, and so it's much more timely. And also you can turn it into prospective longitudinal analysis by potentially you assessing changes over a period of time and potentially further on into the future. For example, you might want to compare the difference between acupuncture and an analgesic on pain, but you might want to know 2 years after they received that treatment, and there's lots of potential for that, so you can compare it. You can understand more about the lasting effect of an intervention.
We want long-term data, and long-term ties into cost-effectiveness.
What's also really nice is that patients can actually have the app on their phone or tablet or whatever, and they can respond to that privately instead of writing it on a piece of paper and having to return it to the acupuncturist. It's much more private, doing it in their own time. Most importantly is when we have a really, really large data set, not only can we conduct research from it, but we can also use this really massive amount of data
It's so exciting.
stakeholders.
So exciting.
And essentially, the bigger the numbers, the more power, the more reliable the statistical analysis that is conducted, and then we can essentially use that for much larger things, not only for research, but on a governmental level.
So I had a picture of someone holding a big steak, but she's vegan, so we had to take
I like the image of a big steak. Reinstate the steak.
Put the steak on there.
I'm sure you're familiar with
vegans.
tofu steak. I'm sure you're familiar with what PROMs are and mind map and these questionnaires.
Patient-reported outcome measures. So
This is what we're going to use.
essentially, a patient can personally respond to some questions, but these questions are specifically validated and they're very reliable, so they undergo a tremendous amount of research before they can actually be used. What you can do with these is not only understand about a patient's condition, but you can use it in research. Use it when giving an intervention, so you can take baseline data, so before you've given an intervention, i.e. in this case acupuncture, and then after the intervention has been given, to understand whether or not there are any changes within that patient's condition. Over to Nick.
We want to try and turn that paper form, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which often gets lost, blows out the window, gets filled in wrong.
And it's so boring.
That's a bit nicer, isn't it? Something a bit more visual, aesthetic, something that's going to be sent out via automated email reminders to people for follow-ups. You don't have to worry about collecting the follow-ups, the system will do it for you.
So it's the same thing.
I love it. I love it. This is so Dragon's Den. I love it.
We need to keep up. Western medicine is doing this, osteopathy is doing this, chiropractic is doing it. Our profession is lagging behind this technology. All the other complementary therapies in Western medicine are collecting outcome data on a big scale. So Dr. Jonathan Field developed Care Response, which is a platform for chiropractors, don't know if you're aware of. It's been running for 4 years now. It's got over 100,000 patient data sets. That's, we dream of this data, don't we, in our profession. They do easy as you like, Excel, download the data sheet, anonymous, so obviously no personal information in that data, it's all anonymous and encrypted. That data analysis was used to inform an NHS care trust in Hampshire, and based on that data of positive outcomes for chiropractic care in real life settings, they won an NHS contract to provide care. So it's a really good example of how data collected via a platform like this can be directly used to inform stakeholders and get some real good progress for our profession in terms of sort of integrating and going forward. It's been shown to be feasible. It's been I love this quote here, seamlessly embedded into the clinical workflow. This has been shown to be the case in all these other professions, that actually when these are put in, people might be a bit reserved at first. They like it, they like using it, they find it stimulates reflective practice, patients like it, patients engage with it, and there's some evidence so far to suggest that using these outcome measures might actually be therapeutically active. It actually might add to the treatment.
But also how lovely for the practitioner, I think, to be able to see quickly without having to download and do anything. How lovely to, when you're feeling I'm crap, which we all have from time to time, I'm sure it isn't just me. Oh, does anything even work? Actually, you know what, people are getting better because we know that this is
the data's honest, like this is an honest reflection of your practice. It's an honest reflection of your practice, and so we need to desperately keep up with these technological developments.
Yeah.
We want this data, we need it for the profession, and we need it for practitioners on a personal level. It's the big and the small, isn't it? These are some of the potential benefits we see. Individual practitioners can easily track and record the results of their treatments. We really want to make sure it's a clinical tool that will potentially save time in clinic rather than take more time. That's quite a big desire for us going forward. It will provide a tool for people to organise clinical records, take more meaningful and accurate case notes. And Kevin, you were saying about case studies, so important. When you've got the data collected in a platform like this, that makes it so easy.
How lovely,
it's so
yes.
easy to write a case study, and your case study isn't just qualitative reports, you've got outcomes data.
Yes.
You've got real legit data. I recently did a case study to a GP for a psychiatric patient of mine because we used outcome measures. The GP and the psychiatrist reduced the psychiatric medication my patient was taking because we could demonstrate that effect. Really important stuff.
So great.
And potential for understanding marketing purposes, socio-demographic information, who's coming to your clinic, what conditions are they coming with, can help you target your own personal marketing. Crucially.
Pia, do you love that?
I'm putting questions down.
Fantastic.
Fine.
We want it to be developed, by members, by practitioners, for members of practitioners. We want to design a profession-specific platform, really suited and designed for acupuncturists in private practice. We want to hear the feedback of people. What kind of features do you want to see? What concerns do you have? Help us develop this app as we go along. Amy's very hot with intervention development, so we're going to take a very thorough process to using members and using practitioners to give us feedback in every way of the development process, so that we can ensure when this is launched, it's been error-proof. We've done it properly. It's not going to be full of glitches. It works. We will improve it works before we launch it.
2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
Like Medical Research Council, kind of, to actually develop research is a very specific way to do it.
Finished? Shall I ask questions?
Please.
Okay. GDR proof.
Yes,
it will absolutely be GDPR compliant. All data stored on encrypted cloud servers.
And you've been looking into ethics, haven't you?
Yeah. So exactly, and there'll be ethical approval and everything for all the research that is done. So that you.
As long as the platform has good data security, ethics are not concerned.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Now the other thing that went through my mind was you know, on the one hand, it's great for the practitioner to have access.
One more minute. One more minute.
For them, but you know, on the other hand, practitioners might be reluctant to go into it if other people see how well they're doing. Do you know what I mean? They might say, oh my God, everybody can see, you know, how
But
when you get better.
my understanding of this is that an individual practitioner will be able to see, well, actually, no, this is the way it's going to be done. You can only see your own data,
But somebody
but
might be able to see.
no, you can see your own data. You can see your data according to per patient or according to your practice or potentially according to per condition. At a big level, there will be somebody who's able to see data across the whole. But it's all, yes, and it's all anonymous. It's all anonymous, fed in.
So they would, so for example,
Okay, time's up. Time's up. Time's up. Can we wrap it up and move around to another final port of call?
We're updating the fact sheets as well. More detailed information about a range of different.
Okay, time's up. Chatterboxes.
You will be able to, yeah.
On to your final. This is the research app here, the international report, and the film. Thank you for coming. I'm very happy that you've come.
I'm a little bit late to this.
Well, I wish you'd been here from the beginning, but it can't be helped. You got waylaid and it happens. Come, join this one or the film.
I've already,
You've already done this?
Liaised with them. I've already liaised with them. So I'll
okay, perfect. Isn't this nice? I'm here. I love this project. I love this project. It's so ambitious. It's so hugely ambitious, but it is absolutely, it's so essential. And this is, I know Richard's going to hate me saying this again, but this is going to be of benefit to acupuncture practitioners on an international level. On an international level. The amount of support that I had when I spoke about this in Rothenburg was, well, let's imagine a normal committee meeting, which we know these things are so boring. There was an absolute spike, a huge Eiffel Tower spike when I started to talk about this. Everybody was excited and energized. So no pressure, no pressure.
So let me just ask you a question, because this came up with the previous group. It's, so we've pretty much written the report, or Rachel's pretty much written the report, and we're now editing and putting it kind of down to size of it. So what do you want from these good people here? What sort of feedback are we interested in?
I think we're interested
how
in
they're going to be able to use it,
how they're going to use it, how they're going to share it, and also what format would be helpful for you guys to have it in. And also, if you can talk through some of the key areas, that and then to get feedback from these guys, perhaps it might help us with the whole editing process. You know, maybe a little bit more on this, and maybe more or less case studies, for example.
Yeah. And also, I said, this isn't going to be the be-all and end-all just because you've done one report.
No,
it'll get out of date. It'll need to be updated,
of
changed,
course.
and what happens. So
I want to do one of these every few years with a different.
Sorry, still the scope of acupuncture around back. So I'm a student, sorry, so it's still okay. So I'll run you through the structure of this and what's generally going to happen. So we're starting off looking at some of the major problems that are facing the UK health system and how that's reflected across the world. So we're looking at long-term conditions, polypharmacy, and the opioid crisis. So we're going into those a little bit, setting up the problem, and then how do we solve it? This is where we step in. So we talk then a little bit about acupuncture practice around the world in terms of health information in different countries. And obviously you can't include every country in the world, so we've just picked out a couple where the information is readily available, and for most of the sections, and they a little bit reflect our own situation. We'll look at training levels across the world, and how many acupuncturists are out there, and how much acupuncture is being used, why we're going to use it. So that's stating that picture, and then we go into more details on efficacy, safety and cost effectiveness. So there are 3 large sections at the end. Again, in the work that I used to do, we'd be looking at pharmaceutical drugs and how we're going to get the information about that drug or that condition out there. Can't do that without acupuncture, because there are so many things that we can treat. So we've just pulled out a few conditions where there's a lot of good evidence. They're quite common conditions, I think, that might work with low back pain, migraine.
Is that the ones that the advertising standards say that we can?
Not necessarily, no. Not necessarily. That's interesting, because I think that's a good
So
discussion.
you went for the ones with the
So
most evidence?
Yeah, so all the most good systematic reviews. I mean, we're not cherry picking evidence in any way, because we can't do that, and we'll be kicked about. You know, everybody looks at it and go, well, you've only put the good stuff. Of course, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff. One report shows frequency of migraines. I'm making this up because I can't remember any particular piece of data, but frequency of migraine in one study was drastically, and the other one it wasn't significant. And I have one. So I think during the editing process we do need to make sure.
Can we put some pressure on the advertising standard?
Well, that's for after this has been produced. It's about how we use it then. You know, we're going to be bringing this report to, I mean, if we have a parliament, to an event at the House of Commons in November. And we're also going, well, like I said in the introduction, we're going to be handing out very brief summaries of this to MPs at the various party conferences this month. And again, it's up to picking the battles. You know, who are we going to? Because advertising standards is blatantly unfair. Blatantly
my
unfair.
feeling on advertising standards is there needs to be a very top-down process, because if you say, well, you say these are the 7 things that we're meant to be allowed to advertise, but what about this one and this one and this one? You then have to engage in an enormously lengthy process with them, arguing on what's the evidence, the interpretation of it, and with their expert, they're getting some expert for every single condition singly. So rather than that, I think you need something that sort of diktat that comes down from above and says, stop being so bloody stupid. You know, let's just. Yeah, let's look at this is what the evidence is from systematic reviews. Why don't you just match this up properly?
So the same applies to NICE?
Sorry?
The same applies to NICE?
Yes. Yeah, the same applies to NICE, but on a much bigger scale. And I think NICE is much more important. And I don't think advertising plans is... And they never do anything. Do they? I think once, yeah, but how many times has it happened? I can only think of one time.
It's season to season. Going around with the
Yeah.
Mostly, you have. I mean, even if multiple offenders are still season to desist, by which time their message is out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can look at it that way. So you've got your message out.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that rebellious by any means. You want to be respected.
We're merely saying the evidence base is, we're stating fact. That's what this whole report is. It's stating fact. The fact is this has been effective in this country for these particular conditions, and it's been long lasting and it's cheaper. These are facts. These aren't claims. Yes.
Say, well, actually, yes, whatever. We're just going to.
Yes.
We're going to put it all together for us.
Exactly. Here you go. Here you go.
Rather than actually fighting.
Yeah. Yes.
Fighting
Well, I'm hoping with this, the first ever. This is the first ever. The first anywhere ever. It is groundbreaking stuff. Rachel, you are breaking ground.
similar things out there.
I'm so proud of this. I'm proud of this.
It's the biggest beast of its kind.
Yeah, they've written some similar sort of things in the States in response to federal calls there for information about alternative approaches for treating with instead of opioids. So they've produced a white paper about that, and yeah.
It's not as good as this, though.
No, of course. It's nowhere near as good as this.
But
and it's different.
One thing that I want all of our members to do, because again it's all of our responsibility to do this, is to go. You know how gobby we as a membership can be. I want us to turn that gobbiness to our MPs, to sit in our MP's office. Here you go. I want you to read that, please. And then I want all of my patients to go into their MP's office. Here you go. I want you to read this, please. They're not going to read the whole thing. Read the summary. Read that, please. And I just want you to know that acupuncture matters to me. At this point, we're not making any asks. We're not asking for any integration to the NHS because that's a whole other thing. We're just raising awareness. I want you to know that this is important to me. Watch the film. Sit down, watch the film. It's important. Can you think about some things that you can do because this is important to me? And to turn that gobbiness into, basically trying to get action from people who can make action.
It's value, because I was thinking about this letter to GPs, and there's more value in concerted effort by a group of, so like in Warwickshire. So Warwickshire practitioners having a focus letter that they all sign off on rather than...
That's such a good idea.
Download a letter and send it to your MP and they get a lot of the same thing and think, can't be asked.
That's such a good idea.
But make it more... Because you could do it by the region.
We could do it by the regional groups.
In a region, to say, GP's letters or things like this, gets passed on with a series of names under it saying, we are all working in this area.
Yeah.
So it's
That's such a good idea. That's such a good idea. Well, we can get them to hold their regional group meeting at their local MP's office. Hello, there are 12 of us. We want to have a meeting with you, please. That's such a good idea.
Another way to get in touch with... So in Warwickshire, say, you might get 4 people in the regional group, but there might be 60 practitioners. So you have to get in touch with all of them and say, we're going to be putting this letter together representing your region to your GPs. Would you be interested in signing off on it?
Yes.
So you've then got a list of practitioners' names all agreeing with one focused voice that goes to the individual GPs, and doing the same sort of thing with this.
Yes.
Rather than, because there is a lot of...
Yes. That's very, very, very good thought. That's a brilliant thought.
Would be actually engaging with the members and saying very clearly, we're doing this. Would you like to sign?
Yes.
Would you like to sign and be part of it?
That's great. I love that.
We actually do first thing, well, we're just doing this, so we just got in touch with you personally to say,
yes.
Do you want to go on this letter?
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, no, that
nice. Good. Very nice.
It might be a surprise anything.
Because do you remember there was some
I'd just like to say it's our time, but if you're having a good time, please continue talking. But we will need to be out of here in sort of 5 or so minutes. But thank you so much. Hi. So just to let you know that our time is up, but we've got another 5 or so minutes if we're having a good discussion, but we will need to be out by 15:15.
There's a lot of depth.
Yes.
We've had a suggestion.
Yeah.
That's actually quite, I think, a good idea for B-roll.
Yes.
Which is to go to one of the student colleges.
I love it.
To film.
I love it.
To show.
Is this your idea? Yeah, I love it.
To show that they're
standards,
how professional they are, and how
gorgeous. We should do it. We should do it. Yeah, we should do it. Well, maybe when we're up in York, we can go to the Northern College because we're going up there anyway.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. Whereabouts are you based? You're based around here, aren't you? Okay, we need to think about this, but that's such a good idea. Everyone, just to let you know that we need to be booted out of here by 15:15, but we're having a good discussion. So anybody stay or go as you like, but we'll finish in.
There's another very quick thought.
Yeah.
The Twitter thing.
Yeah.
I think the reason a lot of people don't do it, and I'm passionate, is we don't understand it.
Yes.
Or what it does. We've got Twitter for TAA. I said, yeah, TAA's got a Twitter account, and then about 4 hours later just went, this may take some time.
Yes.
So we just don't understand it. So maybe something, maybe like a Dillard's Twitter.
You need to come on.
We could be doing.
You need to come onto one of our Twitter courses. We've got some online Twitter webinars about what to do and how to set it up, and also Gavin is pretty marvellous. I'm just going to help him.
No, that's
but yes, because it is about nourishing from the beginning. It is about all of those things. Well, let's talk now. Yes.
Well, it feels to me like there are so many tools out there. You said about things for the blog. Jules and I are on top of everything.
Yes.
And Jules and I went, did you know that? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. And I know it would have been in an e-news somewhere.
Yes.
And these things,
they're delivered
and we're told. And then we go, oh yeah, that's great. And then it disappears. I don't know. You can do a membership with a document or something that pulls together. So then this is where you'll find all the gear that you can update, that we can just check regularly. Like,
yes.
You know, these videos were added.
What I'm starting to get done, it isn't within my remit, but I'm starting to get it done, is, you know, we have our regular e-news. I have asked the people who do put this together to have a rolling, as in once a month, reminder of things, of benefits.
There's available resources, and you can date when they're added,
yes.
so the members can see what stuff is
yes. Yes.
And they also know where to go and find it.
That's because the whole website is actually being redone because it's quite complex at the moment. It's all being redone and energised.
So like we've got for our students, they come to the first weekend, they get bamboozled by all the brilliant